I know you obviously shoot your own food, but you also do styling for other photographers and other projects, right?
Yes.
So what's it like when you style the food for yourself? You have an image in your head, right? How the picture is going to finally look. What's it like working with the team? Do you enjoy working with someone else's creative vision?
I think, especially for bigger projects, I like working with a photographer,
Okay.
and so that I can concentrate just on the styling aspect of it. But it's very important to have a photographer who is in line with the kind of vision that you have. So
Yeah.
there are photographers that I've worked with and who really understand food as well as I do, and we've managed to create beautiful images and have had a great time on set. So
Yeah.
definitely for bigger projects, I prefer to work with photographers. And in fact, when a client comes to me and they say that you shoot as well, of course, budget wise, it makes sense for them to kind of hire me as a photographer and a stylist. But
Yeah.
if it's a bigger project, I have started telling them, having worked with photographers and just concentrating on styling, I have also realized how much easier it is for me and my work, because I need to only concentrate on one particular aspect, and the photographer is there to take care of the lighting, the angle, the other areas, the post production, and then dealing with the client with
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
post production. So yeah, it does help to have a good photographer with you.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, especially whenever I've um, texted you or just spoken to you about styling, I can see how much of work goes into it, and I think it's also it's a sign of you committing as well to make sure you get the best result. That where you take a step back on one side, but on the other hand, where you have where you can deliver above and beyond. That's where you put yourself out to the fore. What is the life of a food stylist like? Because clearly, when it comes to shooting food, styling is a huge component of that photo, even before the photographer steps in. So, what's your day like on the day of a shoot,
So
or your
on the
planning process, even?
So the planning process, I think, starts with a brief. Sometimes the clients will give a brief. Sometimes they expect the stylist. Now, I think in India, the role of a stylist is more than what, if you see abroad, a food stylist will only be concentrating on the food, maybe to an extent
Right.
the props as well.
Okay.
uh, if you go for bigger projects, there's actually a food stylist, there's a prop stylist, there's a set stylist, and all those things. But in India, especially the smaller jobs and stuff, the food stylist is taking care of the props, taking care of sometimes the brief as well, so the art direction,
Okay.
and then of course on the day styling the food as well. So
Right.
in certain cases, even cooking the food, if you're not
Right.
doing a restaurant shoot and it's a brand shoot, or maybe they don't have a chef on hand, then you're cooking the food as well. So, or you get you are arranging for the chef on your own. So all that goes into food styling.
Okay.
It also means, given that we're also sourcing the props, it's a never ending job for us. It
Yeah.
means whenever I step out, I have to keep my eyes open. I have to see, because tomorrow there might be a shoot, and most shoots, there are a lot of shoots that come unplanned, and they will be like,
Yeah.
the shoot is this week, and this is the brief, and they have this set of, like, the number of shots have different kinds of props, and of course it can't be that if tomorrow is the shoot,
Yeah.
you have all the props ready today. So you have to kind of think about that, those kind of instances where you have a shoot tomorrow and these kind of plates would work, or this kind of crockery would work. And just
Yeah.
keep a lookout. Whenever you step out, you have to buy, you have to invest, you have to make that investment.
Yeah. So you must have like a room full of all the props you use.
I have all rooms full of all props. Every room in this house
Okay.
has props, like in some corner or in some drawer or in some way. There's like, yeah, every room in the house has. I wish I had a studio. I keep going back and forth with getting a studio. Always come close, and then something happens. Like I said, like a life of a freelancer. When things are really busy, I was like, I wish I had a studio. It would have been easier. But then becomes the lull, and then I'm like, okay, it's good that I don't have a studio, so I don't have to pay rent, and this is fine. But yeah. So
speaking about props, that's a huge part of every shot and a big part of your equipment. I think a lot of the equipment that you carry is not really photography equipment, but stuff to make the photos look so much better and the food look better. How do you go about sourcing props? Do you buy? Do you rent? And especially when you do shoots outside Delhi, how do you work with props when you have to travel and do your work somewhere else?
In terms of renting props, Delhi is not. I know people in Mumbai have it easier. There are prop rental stores. There are more prop rental stores, and they do have options. In Delhi, there are a few. There's one that I know, another food stylist actually has her own prop studio, so she does offer on rent. But besides that, I don't know anybody else who's renting props. You have to buy them. You have to invest in them. Certain times, there are agencies who have a production budget. So I have the luxury of charging the props separately, or the prop cost separately based on the brief. So once they send the brief, then I send them my styling cost as well as a pre-production cost, which basically includes the sourcing day charges, the prop rental charges, and other stuff that which I would need for pre-production, like backgrounds, getting the backgrounds made, or whatever is required by the client. Bigger shoots have that kind of a budget. Smaller brands or smaller shoots don't generally have. So I include that in my styling fees, and I tell the client. Now I've started. Like initially I wouldn't, but I guess within a year or so I realized that I had actually started. I had told the client. I think once my first styling assignment, I did tell the client that this is my styling fees. But any pre-production prop rental will be separate. And the client, and it was actually my first only styling gig. So the client told me, but most stylists don't charge for prop rental separately. So they include it in their styling cost. So having been in the US, having worked with certain people there, I knew that that's not the case there, but I didn't know that that's not the case here. That's the case here. So then I started, because I realized that most stylists included in their styling fees. So I started doing that. Later on, after different projects, I realized that this props is a major cost that I'm incurring and the client is benefiting from. So now I charge a basic styling fees, and I let the client know that if based on the brief, there are certain props that I need to purchase, those will be separate. So either you choose the props that I have. If you're happy with that, great. If you want something really specific, or like a background that's very specific, that this is the kind of background you want, or this is the kind of props, plates or crockery you want, then those charges are separate. So most clients work with whatever I have. And if I feel whatever I have is not going to do justice to the image, sometimes I still end up going and buying, looking for the prop that the brief kind of thing. I feel that the shop will benefit from.
Yeah.
And just take it as an expense that I'm investing in. Like, it's a profit. Take it as an investment and bear the expense. Because if like 400, 500 or 1,000 rupees, I am personally not getting the image that I'm happy with.
Right, of course.
For me, it doesn't make sense. So the client might be okay about it, but at the end of the day, like I said, I want to put my 100% into it. I want an image. I want to create good images. So if the client can't understand that, I sometimes bend.
Yeah.
I do it.
Now, there is something else that I am quite curious about. You touched upon it a little earlier when you're talking about the various people who are involved with the shoot. So let's assume you're working on, a big project, a higher budget project where you have multiple people who specialize in their particular roles in your in a food shoot. So what are all the various people that you normally that are part of that team, apart from the photographer and you, the stylist? Who are the people involved?
So depending on what it is, there's a pre-production. If it's working with an agency, they generally they take care of the pre-production. So your job might be, you can just send an image that this is the kind of crockery we're looking at. So the production team will arrange for it. That is their headache. I don't have to go. Like with smaller clients, I'll have to go and arrange for that kind of crockery or those kind of tables. Bigger shoots have that production to take care of all those aspects. Then they will have assistants. They'll offer assistants also. Like if you need more than one assistant, they'll offer you 2, 3. They'll actually provide you the transport. If you personally need to go, they'll provide you with the transport as well. So if there's production on a project, it makes your job quite easy. It makes your job a little less, like a more hassle-free.
And you said you have separate people to handle props, separate people to handle the set design as well?
Yes.
Okay. So one question that I think
the production team generally handles the set design. And they'll arrange for the props as well. Of course, you might want to carry some of your own props, which you think will benefit the shoot. But technically, you don't have if you carry, you charge a prop rental as well.
So suppose you carry your own props and your shoot is out of town. How much can you carry? Because I don't think you'd be able to carry a lot, especially if it's fragile pieces, right?
Yeah. So the shoots that I've had outside of Delhi, both places, like I've had it in Bombay one time, I've had it in Chennai, and Bombay has its own, as I said, prop rental is there. Plus, I know people. I've actually banked on other stylists and other photographers to kind of help me out, and they've been kind enough to lend their props or lend their backgrounds stuff for the shoot. Chennai has its own prop rental place. There's Madras Prop Store, so they provided me with all the props. When I've had to carry my own props, I let the client know.
Okay.
I think Goa was the time when I did have to carry my own props. I told the client there will be excess baggage.
Yeah.
They need to take care of that. So.
Okay.
And then I have to be very selective also. And most of the outstation shoots have been with restaurants. So generally they have their own crockery. And it helps. So I just then carry the smaller items that, I feel the picture might need. So it's not much, but I let the client know in advance that there has to be there will be excess baggage. Either book me on a flight which allows more baggage free of cost. Like Air India makes sense that time because it's 25 kg.
Yeah.
Or pay for the excess baggage.
Okay.
Like there have been times when my ticket has been cheaper, and the excess baggage has been actually more expensive. So